Welcome to Dental Business RX. Practice success in 30 minutes or less.
Thank you for calling ABC Dental.
If you want something done in a dental practice, it has to be scheduled. And this doesn't just apply to clinical procedures. As we discussed back in episode 27, it's also important to schedule time and build time into your schedule for sales. After all, you're not going to do any treatment that a patient doesn't first accept. So where does this leave us with management? Do you have time built into your schedule to manage your practice, to ensure that it's growing, and to keep your team on the same page? If you're like most dentists, you probably don't. And if you do, it's not done on a regular basis. It only happens when there's a problem and you have no choice. By handling things this way, you're robbing yourself of immense expansion potential for your business. You're inadvertently increasing your stress levels and actually preventing your team from being on the same page. And that's what I want to talk about in this week's episode of Dental Business RX, how to build management time into your practice. My name is Jeff Bloomberg and I'm your host. And why don't we start by first taking a look at what do we mean by management? What is management? Well, essentially, it's to be able to control something, to direct it, to plan for it, to implement things. You manage your office schedule. You control when patients are going to be there. You provide direction as to when they're going to be seen. You plan when you want to do productive procedures. That's management. Patients manage or don't manage their dental health. Some do it well and some do it poorly. We manage our finances. We control, we direct them, we plan. When you're driving your car on the road, you're managing your car. Whether you're driving it or not, you want to make sure that it's maintained, the tires aren't bald, it has gas in it, it's not overheating, and then you're managing when it's on the road. Now, imagine for a second having a I'll get to it whenever I can attitude to any of these things. With your finances, for example, I'll pay the bills when I can. And you pay bills late and you ruin your credit and things aren't going real well. Or you manage your car when you can and you run out of gas or a tire falls off or blows out. That doesn't work. So don't be puzzled if you're having problems with managing the practice or growth. It's not necessarily because you're bad at it. Sure, you need management knowledge, which is a whole other issue. But in many cases, you're not even at square one yet. There's no management time actually built into your schedule to control your business. And management in dentistry usually runs into two problems. Number one, it's done irregularly, and two, it's done too infrequently. So what do I mean by irregular management? Let me give you an example. Let's say you want to implement a new referral program in your practice. New referral program. So you have a meeting with your staff and you tell them all about this referral program and everybody's excited about it. They all want to get started. And that's all you do. You briefed everybody on what it was and what they were supposed to do. And maybe they do it for the first week or two and then they stop doing it. And then 6 weeks later, you notice it's not being done at all. I've heard that story a lot over the course of my career. Well, what went wrong? When you're implementing something new in your business, it's a new thing. It's not part of the normal business process. It has to be done continuously. It has to be continuously and regularly reinforced. This would be something that you're talking to the team about every week and giving them reminders about every day. Then it eventually morphs into becoming part of the business process. Maybe you have a morning meeting, a morning huddle, or a morning production meeting. Well, if you wanted to implement a morning meeting, and let's say you did it this way. Let's say you decided you're going to have a morning meeting at 8:30 and first patient is at 9 o'clock. So Monday morning, this meeting's supposed to start. So you do it Monday morning at 8:30. Then on Tuesday, you also do it at 8:30. Then on Wednesday, somebody's late, so you started at 8:40. Then on Thursday, something happened, so you didn't have the meeting. By Monday of the next week, you'd have staff members asking you, are we still having that meeting? And if you don't have it, believe me, you're not going to have, it's going to be a hard time. You're going through the whole same thing to re-implement it again. It contrasts that to where if you decided you're going to have your morning meeting at 8:30 every morning and you had it at 8:30 every morning for a year. That's now become a regular part of your business process. It's being done regularly. All right. Well, in that case, what would happen? Let's say one day after a year of doing these meetings every morning at 8:30, you decided, I'm going to change the meeting today till 9. And you text everybody with a big group text that you're changing the meeting till 9 o'clock. You will still see people showing up in the meeting spot at 8:30 thinking they're having the meeting today. They didn't get the text because it's built in to part of their regular routine. So if you want to make something routine, it has to be done regularly and continuously reinforced. So we have the irregularity issue, and then we have the frequency issue. How is dentistry normally managed? Dental offices. They're managed on a monthly basis. So let's say you want to do a certain amount, you want to collect or produce a certain amount in a given month. So you set a monthly goal. We want to collect $180,000 this month. And just for the sake of my math, let's say it's an 18-day month, right? That makes math really easy for me right now. So it's $10,000 a day. That's what the office is supposed to produce and collect. You've set that monthly goal on the first of the month. So there's no structure built in, because you're managing monthly, to check and see if you're even reaching your monthly goal. You know, you have your day in, day out. Then around the 20th or the 23rd, you decide to ask your front desk, how are we doing for the month so far? Oh, we're at $50,000. You're 14 days, production days into your month, and you're at $50,000. You have 4 production days left. You're not going to do the 180. What happened there is the follow-up was too infrequent to adequately manage the practice. It's sort of like growing a plant. Let's say you have a plant that needs to be watered every 2 to 3 days. Well, imagine what you do for a minute when you're watering a plant. You go up to the plant, you have your watering can, and you look at the plant. You don't just close your eyes and dump water in it. You look. Are the leaves too yellow? Maybe it's getting too much water. Are the leaves brown? Maybe I'm not giving it enough water. Maybe I need to water it more frequently. That's managing the plant. You're helping the plant grow. Now, let's say we were doing too long of a time interval on managing this plant. We decide, I don't want to manage this plant every 2 to 3 days. I'm going to manage it once a month. So first month, you get the plant, you water the plant. Second month, you go back to water the plant, and now it's dead. So it's too infrequent. Specifically in dentistry, what you see is the management structure that's built in, with the management activity that's built in, is too infrequent to actually adequately manage the business. So what is it that we teach our clients? We teach them to manage daily and weekly. We teach them to manage weekly and look at productivity daily. So they manage weekly and they look at productivity daily. Now, do they set monthly goals? Sure they do. But, a month is a long time. A month is, anywhere from 28 to 31 days. A lot can happen in a month. If you're taking that month and you're bringing it into smaller bite-sized pieces, you have a better shot at pulling off the month. You don't find yourself on the 23rd nowhere near your monthly goal. So in this episode, I'm going to get into the procedure a little bit, how to set this up and structure this in your business, as well as the meetings you're going to want to have in order to ensure you implement. And I'm going to get into the how. I really can't get into the why. That's a much longer explanation. And the why is just as important, why you're doing these things. And that requires some training. We go over that thoroughly on the MGE Power Program. If you want to find out more, I'll put a link on the episode webpage. So let's say you want to implement this. You want to monitor productivity daily and you want to manage the practice weekly. How do you set this up? All right, if we're going to manage weekly, the first thing we have to set up is we have to decide we need a week ending. We need to decide when our week starts and when our week ends. Now, that may sound ridiculous because, everybody knows weeks start on Monday and end on Sunday. That's true. With our 7-day week, that's how it works. From a production perspective, this is a little bit of a different story. When we're building a week in a business, as far as, having a specific week we're managing with, where we're going to keep statistics for and things like this, ideally, the end of the week has a little bit of a buffer of time afterwards, so we have time to plan. So what do we normally do with clients? A lot of dentists are not open on Fridays. That's normally how that works, or Wednesdays. Fridays and Wednesdays in the U.S., that seems to be an off day, or has been for years. It used to only be Wednesdays. Now it's a lot of the time Fridays. So what we'll tell a client is if you are off on Friday, have your week end on Thursday. Your weekend's Thursday, and the new week starts Friday morning. Now, you might go, but Jeff, we're closed Friday. Why would my week start on Friday morning? That's when you would start keeping statistics for the new week, is Friday morning. You might be in the office on a Friday morning, you're keeping a statistic of collections, and you find you get a direct deposit from an insurance company as you're looking at your bank balance, or you go to the mailbox and there's some insurance checks in there if these insurance companies still pay by check. Well, those monies would go on the week that began on Friday. They wouldn't go on to last week, which ended on Thursday. Do you see? So the week ends Thursday, starts Friday morning. If you're off on Fridays, let's say you're off on Wednesdays, well, then you might end your week on Tuesday, and the new week begins on Wednesday morning. That's a simple way to set it up. You have to look at what's best for you. The thing you want to think with is you want to have enough time for the planning that you need to do for the new week before you jump into the new week after the last one ends. So what type of planning are we doing? What type of meetings are we doing? So on a daily basis, you're doing a morning production meeting. Now, I spoke about this in episode 34. I have a handout in there that you can download, which gives you sort of a guide on how to run through the morning production meeting. Now, the purpose of the morning production meeting is to figure out, how you're going to increase treatment acceptance. Here are patients that are coming in today that need certain types of treatment, and how are we going to make sure they get it presented to them and they fully understand it so that they accept it and are properly educated. It's also integral to actually increasing practice productivity. That's done on a daily basis. Before you do your morning production meeting, you're looking at how the statistics are for the week. You could also look at where you're at with relation to the end of the month. You're looking at this every day. Because again, if you're looking every day, you're not going to have a big surprise. Oh, I'm at $50,000 on the 23rd when you wanted to do 180. You would know you had a problem back on the 4th when you were only at $4,000. Do you see? Because you're looking regularly, you see problems as they start to develop. The leaves on the plant are just a little yellow or a little brown. The plant's not dead. And it gives you time to do something about it so that you're not too late. You're way behind the curve if you're waiting too long. All right, so you're having your morning production meeting on a daily basis. What are we doing weekly? We're doing 3 different things. Number 1, we're doing our doctor and our office manager meeting. And I talked about the procedure for that in episode 21, if you want to check it out. We're doing a financial review. This is where the doctor is paying bills and things like this on a weekly basis and looking at the finances weekly. And we're having a staff meeting. So let's take this office. We have an office. It's open 4 days a week and maybe one Saturday a month during the summer for a half day. It's open Monday through Thursday. Office is closed on Friday and most Saturdays and Sundays, of course. So the week ends on end of the day Thursday and starts beginning of the day Friday. So how would this work? Well, let's first look at our morning production meeting. We're only going to really do a morning production meeting when patients are there. We're not going to do a morning production meeting on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday because there's no patients. Except even maybe that half day once a month you might do it. But otherwise, really the days we're doing our morning production meeting are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the most part. As far as the weekly meetings go, the week ends Thursday night. Your team would turn in their statistics to the office manager before they leave on Thursday. And then either Thursday night before they wrap up and, clean up their space and head out for the weekend, or Friday morning, if some of these team members come in Friday morning to do some paperwork or whatnot, they would take a look at the upcoming week. So if I'm the schedule coordinator and I'm supposed to schedule $180,000 this month, that's $45,000 a week. I'm going to want to look at next week's schedule and maybe even the week after, to be perfectly honest, because, schedules take some time to build from time to time. And I'm going to see where I'm at with relation to meeting my weekly goal for next week of $45,000, because that's going to contribute to us hitting our monthly goal. So let's say I see the week is at 35,000. Well, I know I have to figure out another 10,000 somehow, and I'm going to start looking at ways I can do that. I'm doing that before I've even walked into the week. Any scheduler will tell you that if they have a 1 hour opening in the schedule, it's easier to fill that 1 hour opening the later it is. So if you have a last minute cancellation and it's for 4:00 tomorrow, that's a lot easier to fill than one for 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. The more time you have, the easier it is. So if I'm looking at next week's productivity and I have to do something about it, I'm only at 35 and I'm supposed to do 45, and I'm doing that on the Thursday before next week, I have time. I can do things about that as opposed to doing it while I'm in the middle of it. So that's what your team's doing before they head out for the day, or Friday mornings if they come in on Thursday. Now Friday rolls around. What's going to happen on Friday? Well, you remember on Thursday, everybody turned in their statistics. On Friday, the doc and the office manager are going to have their doctor office manager meeting. And again, I went into the specifics on that back in episode 21, and you can listen to that if you want to check it out. But here we're going to look at the stats. We're going to look at what's going on. We're looking at personnel issues. We're looking if there's anybody we need to hire. We're going to reevaluate our marketing. How is our marketing working? Is there anything we need to change? And as a result of this doctor office manager meeting, what's happening? We're making decisions. We're issuing directives. We're deciding things that we want to have done or implemented. So that's the direction that you're issuing for the office. This is what's going to be happening the coming week. Do you see? And then maybe on a day-to-day basis after the doc and the OM meet, they may meet on a daily basis for 5 minutes in the morning to check on progress from the targets that they set from last week's meeting. So, we had this meeting on Friday, then, Monday morning. Okay, what are we getting done today? Cool. And on Tuesday, how did that stuff go yesterday? All right. Well, we ran into a problem with this. All right, let's do this. And what are we getting done today based on what we decided to get done on Friday? Do you see how this works? Because management isn't about sitting in a room and talking about things. Management is active. You're out there doing stuff, but you first have to plan what you're going to do. That's what these meetings are for. They're primarily to plan and coordinate. They're not just to, have a meeting. I'm not a huge fan of useless meetings. I hate them when too much time is taken. I'm not a big fan. I like them to be very A to B, just boom, boom, boom. Let's get through what we have to get through. But you should walk out of these meetings with decisions, directives, things that you're going to get done in the coming week. So Friday morning, we're having that doctor office manager meeting. It might be first thing. If you go into the office, maybe you go in the mornings from 9 to 12 or something. You do them then. Then after the doctor office manager meeting, this is when the doctor is going to do their financial review. Now, there's a lot to know about this, and we detail it thoroughly in the financial planning and profitability seminar on the MGE program, the Power program. I'm not going to get into all the specifics here, but essentially the same principle that applies with statistics and management applies to managing your finances. If you're managing your finances with a P&L, you're always going to be too late. So especially if you're getting that P&L from an accountant with a 1-month delay. So May passes, the accountant looks at your books, and on the 22nd of June, you get a P&L for May. Well, if you were overspending on supplies in May, let's say somebody's lost their mind and they're buying too much stuff, all right? So they bought way too many dental supplies in May. Well, they're still probably buying too many dental supplies in June. So on June 22nd, when you get this P&L and then you finally get around to doing something about it on June 25th, you've now got 2 months of over expenditure. I'm a bigger fan of managing the finances a little bit more in real time. So if you're sitting down on a weekly basis and you're looking at your finances, how much did we collect? How are the expenses doing? There's a number of other things you would do, but even if you're just looking at them, that's a big, that to me is better than doing nothing. So you're looking at how you're doing. That gives you an opportunity to fix things before they go really wrong. That's, again, this basic thing. We're managing, we're controlling, we're keeping it from before it spirals out of control. You see the supply bill is way higher than it normally is. You're taking action on that. You're doing this on Friday. You're taking action on that the following Monday, so you don't have a June where we way overspent on dental supplies. All right? So you have your doctor office manager meeting, then your finance meeting. That's what you're doing on Friday. You now need to have a staff meeting. Well, when would you have a staff meeting? Again, I'm using this office as an example just for structure. Closed on Friday, Saturday, some Saturdays open one Saturday a month and closed on Sundays. You most likely would have your staff meeting on Monday morning. Because keep in mind, the doctor and the office manager had a meeting, looked at statistics, marketing, personnel, etc., and they came up with a list of things to do to improve the practice. This is what we want to get done this week, next week, etc. Well, where do you want to disseminate some of this information? You want to do that at staff meeting. So we're going to have staff meeting. The next time the staff are going to be there, the week ended on Thursday, is the following Monday. So I'd recommend, is what we recommend to clients, do it first thing Monday morning. If first patient on Monday is at 9 a.m. and your morning production meeting is at 8:30, then do your staff meeting at 7:45 or 7:30, depending on how long it takes. And the truth is, if you're doing your staff meeting on a weekly basis, it shouldn't take very long. MGE's staff meeting, we have about 70 plus employees, takes about a half hour a week. Now, once in a while, like once a quarter, I'll have a bit of a longer meeting. So to sort of clue everybody in on how we did that quarter. And you can have your quarterly and monthly meetings. I definitely like quarterly meetings. Yearly meetings are great when you're planning for the next year. We don't really do monthly meetings. We're not a dental practice. We teach dentists how to manage. But if you have a monthly meeting and it's working for you where you set goals and things like that, absolutely by all means do it. So you might have a longer meeting once a quarter, but generally if you're doing a staff meeting on a regular basis once a week, it should be relatively quick. Should be pretty fast. What are you going to do at this weekly staff meeting? There's a whole format for this that we teach our clients. It's an episode in and of itself, and I will go over that in a future episode, how to run a weekly staff meeting. But for now, let's at least look at some basic things. You would want to show your staff how the office is doing statistically, how you did last week, where you're at with relation to the month, and so on. And then go over anything that you want done. And this is the type of things that you would have decided in the doctor office manager meeting. You might also have different types of things that you want to implement that you could disseminate to the staff. And, it's first thing Monday morning. You're asking everybody to come in a little bit early so you could have some coffee or some bagels or donuts or whatever there so people can kind of eat while you're going through it. It should be informal, proper, but it doesn't have to be completely out of control formal. People can have something to eat while you're doing it. But the idea is you want to get everybody on the same page, because if you look at who's creating all those statistics, it's you and your team. They contribute to it, so they should know how they're doing and where they are with relation to what it is you're trying to get done. And that's the basic infrastructure you put in place. So let's say you're running this on a regular basis. All right. You have your daily morning production meeting. One of the cool things about a daily morning production meeting is you're not just looking at today, you're looking at tomorrow and the rest of the week. If you kind of see the thread that we're painting in here, it's that you're handling things with advance notice ahead of time so they don't become a problem later. You can take what might be a minor problem and turn it into a far less severe problem if you have time to properly address it. So it also allows you to set a direction and make sure that you're actually achieving that direction. Now, what this doesn't take into account, essentially what we've done is we've set up a basic management infrastructure, all right, as far as when we're meeting, when we're planning, when we're doing various things. This does not go over all the skills you'd want to properly manage your finances, to properly manage statistics, what to do about an underperforming employee, all those different things. Those are management skills, and that's a whole different and separate issue. But here's the one thing that I will say, because you might look at that and go, well, what's the point of doing this then? Here's all I'll say. I brought this up when I talked about making time for sales. If I give somebody who's a mediocre salesperson adequate time to close that sale, to present a treatment plan to a patient, answer all their questions, make sure they fully understand it. Let's say their close rate is only, 30 or 40%, which isn't very good. If I give them enough opportunities with adequate time, they're going to close something. They're going to close more than they would have closed if I gave them no one to see. So this is one of those deals that if you start doing this on a regular basis, you will see some improvement. Now, you could really turbocharge that improvement if you're an excellent manager, which again is a whole different story. And that's what we get into very heavily on the MGE Power Program. Again, I have the link on the episode webpage. And just keep in mind, what we're doing here, even if you're just getting this going, is we're putting attention on issues that can make or break your expansion. And really, that's what we're all after in the first place. So anyway, I hope that helps, and I hope you see some benefit from using this. Let me know how you do. You can email me at jeffb@mgeonline.com, or you can leave feedback on the episode webpage on the dentalbusinessrx.com website. And if you need any help with your practice, you can always contact us here at MGE at mgeonline.com, or call us at 800-640-1140. Folks, that's all I have for you this week. Thanks so much for listening, and I do appreciate it so much, and we'll see you at the next episode.